Hello and welcome back everyone. So in the last video, we optimized all of the article feeds and we were able to load articles all together using operators. But we didn't actually add any of these new features into the application. So we're going to update all of our pages to include all the different possible feeds. The first place we need to update is the home page. And what we're going to do is we're going to add a toggle button so that we could switch between the global feed and the personal feed, as well as the tag feed. I think I'm actually going to make a new component for this. I'm going to call it feedtoggle.tsx. Let's make sure that we add the boilerplate so that we know the feed toggle works. And in the homepage, it's going to go here. Now, I'm not sure what props to give it right now, so we're going to work on just the UI portion of it and then figure out the data afterwards. So according to the markup, this outer div is going to have the class name of feedtoggle. Then inside there will be an unordered list with the class name of nav, navpills, and outline active. Then it's going to have an array of feed items. I think I'm going to call the items just called feeds. And let's add that to props. So we're going to do interface, props. It's going to be an array of anything right now so that we could do a map to make sure that we have access to it. And each feed item is going to be a list item with an anchor tag inside. I preemptively added a interpolation here so that we could change whether or not it's active or disabled. And let's define what the feed item actually wants to look like. Let's see, I don't want this to be an actual link, so... Alright, now I want the title. And that means that the key is going to be feed.title as well as the content inside of the anchor tag. I think we could add a to property that'll set the current feed to whichever feed type it is, which means that we need to surround this and make sure it's a returned function instead of a one-liner so that we can use the useOverMind hook. We're going to want both the state and the actions, specifically feeds.current and setCurrentPage. And let's save this so it's a little spread out. And that also means that we're going to want a type property here. So we're going to do that because we're going to base the class name of disabled or active based on whether or not this is the current feed. And I'm going to add a ternary to do so. So current.type triple equals to feed.type. If that's true, then this is going to have the active class. And if it's false, it'll have the disabled class. Rid of those two. And this anchor tag is going to have an onClick method instead of an href or a to property, where we're going to do setCurrentPage. Okay, so yeah, setCurrentPage is going to take the to property of feed, and that means we could change this to property from a string to which we need to export and import. So in the article state, I'm going to just do export here, and then in the feed toggle, we're going to import that from /state articles. That should do it. Oh, right. And we need to make sure that we don't immediately invoke this. So let's just wrap it in a thunk like so and save. And then let's return to the home page and make sure that we're sending in the correct feeds equals to. All right, I'm going to construct the feeds array up here. So const feeds equals to an array. The first one's going to be global feed, type is all, and the to property is going to be, so the to property is going to be just the current feed object. I'm casting it as a current feed just because there's some TypeScript errors and I'm a bit lazy, so I don't want to go fix that. And I'll save, and we could check to see if the feed toggle works as we want, and it does. Obviously it's not going to do anything right now because we only have one. So let's add the other couple. Next we're going to add an if condition and append onto the current feeds array the tag type. And we have a to property going to the tag and making sure that it's the current page and tag. And the title is going to be hashtag whatever that tag is. Let's also add one before the tag feed. And this one's going to be called feed. The title is going to be your feed. And that should be good. And the condition here is going to be checking if the current user exists. So if you remember, that is going to come from state auth, and I believe the property is called authenticated. So we're just going to check that if the user is authenticated, then we could load the current feed or their feed. So we save this and go into our app. This is the global feed, which is what we want. We also have your feed. I don't know why. I'll have to update that. Which right now has no articles, which is fine, because we haven't really followed anyone. And then finally, we can check the tags. So we have training right now, and there's all the stuff under training. We can also go look at sushi. And then if we click on global feed again, it's back to where we were. So that's good. Now let's make these same updates to the profile page. Alright, we're in the profile page. Let's scroll down. So the article section of this is going to be right here. And let's add the normal markup. And this class name is going to be call xs 12 medium 10 offset medium of 1, and we need to add the feed toggle as well as the article list. Now let's go up to here where we need to destructure some stuff from state. So we need list and loading from articles, and because both of these are using the same name, I'm going to use destructuring renaming to rename both of them to loading profiles and loading articles. Let's make that update to this loading here, and then we can also add that to article list here. And article list also needs articles, which is to equal to list. Now we also need to construct another feeds item. So I'm going to make const feeds here. Alright, it's actually going to be let feeds. And the first one is going to be title of my articles. And this is of type author. And we also need to provide the author of the current user's username. So username. And let's make sure that we import current feed. And then the if condition here to add another article tab is if this is the current user's profile. So we do current user is equal to username. And the title here is going to be my favorites. This is favorites. And then finally, we need to make sure that we have access to a page variable. And that comes from the query params, which we also need to import. I'm also going to move it up here. Finally, after all that is set up, we need to add it to the feed toggle. So feeds equals to feeds. And if we save, we should be almost done with the profile. So let's first go to our profile. And I believe it is username. So that is us. Alright, so it's in the wrong area. We want this below in the white space here. So I'm just going to move this section, also making sure that it's the right amount. Alright, and move it down one div. And there it is. So we have my articles, which we have one article of beep boop. And my favorites has nothing there. So that's good so far. So there's one problem that we have to face right now. And that is that when we have a brand new page, both of these are not the current article list. We actually have to click on one before articles load. So we need to add that to a use effect. And I'm going to check if we already have a use effect. And it looks like we do. And I think it's safe to use the same hook here. And we're going to do set current page, which we need to actually grab. So that's from articles. And we get set current page here. The type is going to be author. Page is going to be 0. Or actually it'll be page or 0. And the author is going to be the username that's given to this component. And we'll cast it as a current feed, which I may have mistyped because it's appearing red everywhere, but it's too late now. I'm just going to roll with it. And the dependency array is already taking username, so this effect will run every time a username changes. So that should be good. I think it'll be also good to add page in here, just in case. And we'll save, and if we jump back in, if we do a refresh, my articles is already gonna come up. And if we go to a different username, and let's just go with username, he'll also have my articles, and I guess he doesn't have any. Let's go to the global feed and check this guy. He has one article, and yeah. Alright, so let's see what else we need to do. The following seems to work. So if we go home and look at our feed, that works. Favorites doesn't work yet, so we need to update that. And this disabled style is really annoying me, so let's do that first. So for the disabled, inside of feed toggle, I'm just gonna go in here and set a style property here. And I'm just gonna do cursor equals to pointer. So in our app, we'll get our little hand. Now let's add that action for favoriting. I'm just gonna add it down here because it doesn't truly matter. So it's gonna be an async action, and we're gonna wrap it in a try catch like we've done all the other async actions. I don't think we need to send in a value of any kind, so we'll just do const data equals to await effects dot. Oh, we do need the slug. Alright, so yeah, let's do that. So the value is a string type, and then we can pass in the slug like so, and it should return to us an article. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna append the article that comes back into the article map DB that we have in our state. We're gonna make another action for unfavoriting, which is basically the same thing, except we're gonna call it a different effect. And that effect is called unfavorite article. And let's make sure that we add this to the exported actions object. Favorite article and unfavorite article. And this is in the article preview component. So, all right, we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna wrap this in a return so that we can use the use overmind hook. And we only need actions this time, since we're out getting all the props from the parent. Actions, articles, favorites, unfavorite. Okay, so an article has a property called favorited. That means that article preview should also have that property. So I'm gonna do favorited, and this will determine whether or not we will favorite or unfavorite this current article. I think I'll just do this. So I'm gonna make an action to specify which action that we're gonna call. And so if the users favorited this article, then they'll unfavorite it, and so forth and so on. And that way we could have an onClick method here that all it does is call that action, and we have to pass in the slug. And I realized I just made a mistake. So inside the article actions, I forgot to add the loading state. So state.articles.loading. We need to make this true and then false after the request. And also in unfavorites, we need to do that too. And instead of append to map, what I actually want to do is just replace the thing at the slug equals to article. And this will keep the article in place so it doesn't change order. Because if we were to append it at the very end, it'll put it at the very bottom instead of, just keeping it where it's supposed to be. And we need to do that for unfavorite as well. And once that's done, we could look at Olga here and do a favorite, and that number changes, and unfavorite as well. The last thing I want to do in this video is to add pagination. Now the homepage is a little cluttered, so I'm not going to do it here. I'm actually going to do it inside of the article list component, and we're going to add some buttons. We're going to deviate a little bit away from how Conduit has done it, just because I don't really like the user interface for it. So instead we're going to have just a left button and a right button. And I'm using the Bootstrap classes of BTN, BTN primary, pull left and pull right, as well as disabled in case that we can't go to the next page. Let's make sure that that looks right. Instead of explicit numbers, I'm just going to do previous page and next page. So this will be previous page. So the first thing that we want to do is make sure that we're using the hook to get the page and set page. And that comes from use query param. And remember the param is called page. And I'm gonna actually make this into a template string, so we need to wrap it in interpolation, change the quotes correctly, and if the page is 0 or if there's no page query param, then we'll have the disabled on the previous page, and the disabled condition for next page is going to be if the argos.length is equal or greater than or equal to 10, because that's the maximum amount per page. This actually needs to be less than, so yeah, because we want to disable it when there is no next page, so that's the right logic. Okay, now we need to add the onClick methods to call setPage accordingly. So for previous, I'm gonna do page -1, and if page doesn't exist, then just 0. And then for next page, it's gonna be page +1. Unless there's no page, then it'll just set the page to 1. All right, let's test that out. So next page, I go to page 1. Page 2 works. Previous page works. It's not disabled on page 0, so I need to update that a little bit. So where is that? Triple equals 0, or no, this is, the parentheses are in the wrong place, so that's what I want. So let's check that again. There we go. There. Cool. Refresh. Good, good, good. And let's check a thing with no next page, and that is correct too. And we need to make sure that the disabled, if it's disabled, the onClick doesn't trigger. So I'm gonna actually pull these out since we're gonna use it in multiple places. So I'm gonna do const prev disabled equals to this condition, and const next disabled. It's gonna be the other condition. All right, let's call that. So that will be in here. This will be prev disabled. This is next disabled, and then in the onClick, we're gonna do the same thing. Wait, no, this has to be a not. There, yeah, that should be right. Just to check. Previous. Cool. And then our feed. Next doesn't do anything. Previous doesn't do anything. All right, cool. So we're done with the list items. And the next video, we're gonna do the singular article. So the article page, as well as all the CRUD components, or the CRUD operations on it. So yeah. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.